introduction, Grace. She's the founder and CEO of Revel Innovation. Revel Innovation builds and designs programs for organizations that better the world. So Grace, 2011, you spoke about social entrepreneurship back then, and you were just starting Impact Hub. So 10 years on, is this where you think you would be?
Yeah, wow. So 10 years ago, I was 10 years younger, 10 years more optimistic. TEDx Singapore was really special. It was really that talk and that video that captured the essence of what I was set out to do for the next 10 years. The first 4 years, so from I would say 2012 to 2016, it was very much around ecosystem building and creating a market that did not exist. It was educating people, explaining to people what are startups, right? What is social entrepreneurship? People didn't know that these things were in fashion at that time, and people didn't know that it was going to be the future. And my litmus test is always to talk to a taxi driver, right? If they can answer you what a startup is, then you know that it has been mainstreamed. I remember having had to have 400 conversations even before having the courage to really start the hub. And right now, if you ask a Grab driver or a taxi driver, they can tell you what a startup is. You know, they can quote local champions, winners like Carousel or Shopback or Grab. And 10 years ago, none of them were as successful or even existed yet. From 2016 onwards, the ecosystem has matured a lot, and there were a lot more actors coming in. People have all found their roles. The government knew how much to do, what not so much to do. The investors were all coming in.
You're definitely a pioneer in the social entrepreneurship scene. Can you just share with us some insights? So how do you think it has progressed?
Social entrepreneurship, to those who don't know, I define it simply, and it was also in my bio during the first TEDx talk. It's the combination of having the heart of Mother Teresa and the brain of Richard Branson, right? That was popularized by my mentor, almost second mom, a pioneer in the global social entrepreneurship, Pamela Hartigan. So these profiles of individuals, right, having the heart of Mother Teresa and the brains of Richard Branson, they form a very niche market. They were at the sidelines. They were the mavericks. They were the rebels. They were the crazy ones. But I'm glad to say that 10 years on, this is no longer a niche industry. Social entrepreneurship, impact investing, it has grown to become a 31 trillion asset under management world, right? And by 10 years now, it's now became mainstream. You see a lot more pension funds all the way to investment funds all the way to corporates and small startups of 1 to 10 people integrating a wider purpose that is beyond themselves and beyond returning shareholder gains, to including stakeholder gains, to including the 3 Ps, right? Profit, people, and planet, to measuring more than one bottom line, to measuring double bottom line, sometimes triple bottom line. And so that has become a mainstream movement now. Are we there yet? I don't think so. I still think we have a couple more years to go, where the taxi driver is able to explain what a social entrepreneur or what a triple bottom line is. But the big guys, the allocators of funds, have definitely embraced it, and that is a very, very positive sign.
Given the pandemic situation, how do you think this has impacted the social entrepreneurship scene? Has it accelerated anything or caused more stumbling blocks? What's your take on that?
I think research has shown enough that responsible companies who are part of communities, who are responsible towards their stakeholders, have performed better during a pandemic. And the demand for social entrepreneurial solutions, market-driven solutions from impact ventures, sustainability ventures have totally increased during the pandemic. I think it is really the pure sort of traditional, selfish, capitalistic, myopic kind of companies that have perhaps been tested during the pandemic And I always feel that it's crises like that that, give everyone a chance to reimagine their purpose, to reflect on what is their role in the business community, sure, but also as a global citizen. Pandemics are not equitable. It always affects the marginalized communities more, as we have seen in Singapore. It always affects the low-income communities more. So more and more we have seen companies who are, again, have welcomed the pandemic as a wake-up call to be more inclusive, to be more equitable, and to be more global in that sense.
Grace, in all your 10 years, I'm personally very curious as well. What was the most difficult decision that you had to make?
The most difficult decision by far would be, during a consolidation phase in my industry back in 2018, where we have had a couple of acquisition offers.
Wow.
Yeah, that would mean a semi-retirement for me. That would mean joining a bigger company and, just maybe have to work for another 1 to 3 years and, you're off. And so those were offers that I've taken seriously, and I have gone to Shanghai and here to learn about the potential acquirers' company culture, management, business model. But after that process and that journey, I've just realized that they were going to not be a cultural fit, and they were not going to extend or continue the mission of the behind the work that I've been doing. And therefore I walked away from both. And my friends, my other entrepreneur friends, were saying like, oh, are you crazy? Rarely do people walk away from acquisition offers, but I would not have forgiven myself for taking those.
With the social impact ecosystem growing and expanding, I'm sure we would also see a lot of the next generation, the younger generation, wanting to be part of this ecosystem as well. And yourself as well, you have a 19-month-old girl, baby girl. So just wondering from your point of view, what are some words of advice that you would give to the younger generation that would want to be part of this ecosystem moving forward?
Wow, the younger generation is the world's best hope in repairing the world and improving it. So my short word of advice is be demanding. Be demanding. Ask for what you want. Ask for the better versions of products and services that have been offered to you. At first, I thought it was a cliche when people say that, oh, once you have children, you will get a different perspective on the world. You will place purpose and impact and doing good a lot higher because you're going to do it for them, right? I thought it was just a cliche, but I've really experienced firsthand how having a daughter really accelerated my commitment a lot more even to going back to impact work and really doubling down on that. When I talk about bottom-up work and bottom-up ecosystem, then that generation is what I mean. They are the reason, they are the core for it. Large companies, large FMCG companies, large investment banks, they are not doing good for the world because a government said so. They are not doing it primarily because of tax rebates. They are doing it because the younger generation will not buy from them if they are not responsible corporate actors, if they destroy the planet, if they are unfair to their to their communities and their stakeholders. Younger generation of wealthy families and wealthy businesses will not go to a bank that practices unethical behavior, that siphons off money to left and right. So it is the younger generation that will be the new North Star of how corporates behave. It is really them who will dictate and determine what new generation of products and services, of food, of non-meat food, right, that will be produced at scale, because it is them who will be the new budget holders, purchasing power, and everything else. So I am super, super excited and so optimistic to see what they will demand of the people in power. Yeah, and I think it can only be better than all our hundreds of years before.